welcome back. We finally got our chainsaw mount from KOPLIN. Gonna go ahead and get this thing opened up, and we'll see what's in the box, and we'll get to an install, so stay tuned. Alright, so I'm kind of new to this top-down thing, so forgive me if we become skewed at all, but let's just get into it and see what it comes with. The box was pretty beat up when we got it here, but due to the nature of what's inside, I'm sure it's going to be fine. Instruction manual. Seems pretty straightforward. I don't think we're going to need that at all. It's empty cardboard. So this is the actual press itself. Looks like that just unscrews, and then that pops out, opens up. I'm not sure what that's for, why there's a hole there, but maybe we will dig through the instructions after and see why that's like that. Just lay that to one side for now. Warning, do not return to store for missing product or damaged merchandise. Please contact Sure. Looks like this might be our hardware kit. Pretty sure that's going to be everything we need. More garbage, and seems to be about it. It's pretty standard. I think this should be a pretty easy install once we get to it here. Yeah. Maybe we should get this opened up and get the contents emptied and see, give you guys a better overview of what actually come with it. There we go. Alright, before we get to the install, I wanted to run through a few basic tools we're going to need to actually get this job completed. First, we're going to need a 10mm socket, a T30 Torx bit, a 10mm wrench, a ratchet. Optionally, you could use an impact with an adapter for the socket. These longer bolts are going to be used for Polaris or Polaris-like vehicles. It's got a thicker plastic rack on them, but I don't think we're going to need that today. So without further ado, let's just jump into the install. Alright, so we'll go ahead and we'll get this thing installed. I went ahead and prepped all of our nuts and bolts and kind of got everything aligned the way we need it to. So first step, I think, is to take this bracket, kind of align it how you're planning on installing it. So I think somewhere like that for us is going to be good. We're not blocking anything important. Something else to take into consideration: make sure you don't block your license plate or anything like that. And take your U-bolt, jam it up through. Don't forget your washer. And then we'll put a nut on that side. Same on this one. It's pretty simple. Again, we'll grab a U-bolt, get it aligned, washer, washer, put a nut on and a nut on. I wouldn't go ahead and tighten everything until you get all of the hardware kind of in place, and then you can kind of snug it down as you feel fit. This one's a little bit tighter. Come on. Just that bar, the square stock, these little U-bolts were designed to go on round tubing. It'll be alright. Just make sure we're not going in cross-threaded or anything. There we go. That'll draw itself tight when we put the impact on it, as long as we're not cross-threaded like I said. There we go. So now we'll grab our impact, grab our 10mm socket. You'll know if you're cross-threaded. Don't have to be crazy tight, just snug. And then I think we should just square this up the best we can to make sure everything is nice. Trick with these U-bolts is to do a little bit on each side. It's probably good. Feels pretty sturdy. You could go back through after with a ratchet just to ensure that they are as tight as you'd like them. So once we get that done, then we're going to take this piece and these holes are going to line up with these holes. So what I'd recommend doing, one thing we got to make sure we put our bolt through this plate to make sure that the padding actually sits against the saw. So if we grab one of those and one of those, now you can position this however you'd like. I'm going in this neutral position like this because it's how I want it on my quad. But kind of hold that, position it, and it'll get easier as you put more in. Again, just finger tight. They are nylock nuts, so you're not going to be able to finger tighten them all the way. Go ahead and get this last one in place, and then we can go ahead and level it and snug her down. Like that. This is where you're going to need your T30 and your 10mm wrench. I'd recommend getting started on the top one. Just get it somewhat snug. That way you can kind of position this how you want it. Looks pretty good there to me. It's probably going to move 15 more times before I get to it, but before we get too crazy, we'll just make sure that we're kind of where we want to be. And we'll give her a couple ugga-duggas. Just like that. And quite honestly, that's pretty much all is to it. So let's go ahead and fire our saw in here, and we'll see how it holds. I think it goes like that. And this thing just clamps on it. I'll have to loosen this off. And then I think once you get it to where you're happy with it, we can take optionally a 13mm. I'm using a deep socket here, but what we can do is once we can just barely slide that off, then we can kind of close it with one hand and pop this thing over like that. What we can do is just run this nut in here like that, and then that's kind of a good guidance to how far we need to slacken that off. Squeeze it. Just like that, and then tighten her down. And I mean, there's realistically no way for that to go anywhere. Yeah. I think that's going to be exactly what we were looking for. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. We're going to get a few more things put in place here, and then hopefully we'll get some more trail clearing videos out.